Welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and in this episode we are taking a look at the brand new figures from Diamond Select from the Amazon original series, Invincible. If you've been living inside a mayonnaise jar for the past few months or so, you might not know about Invincible, but Invincible is a Robert Kirkman creation. It's a comic that he created, and Kirkman is the same guy who created the Walking Dead series, among other things. And the series follows the life and times of a teenage superhero just learning about his powers from his dad, who is the greatest superhero of all time. And of course, there's a lot of other intrigue and mystery going on in there. That's kind of the very oversimplistic version of it. So if you haven't seen it, definitely recommend you check it out. But chances are you're watching this because you already know the series, you love it, you love the violence, you love the story. It's really fun. I just watched it before I got to this review. In fact, I haven't quite finished it yet, so no spoilers, but by the time this video comes out, I should have definitely finished it. And these figures have been the talk of the town. These have been some hot items. They are finally out now. I know folks have been dying to see these things up close and personal, and I'm very excited to be able to bring them to you today. So as part of Wave 1 of this Invincible series, we have Invincible himself on this side, and over here we've got his dad, Omni-Man. So let's go ahead and talk real quick about the packaging, and then we'll go ahead and get these guys out of the box. And the packaging is very nice. It's basically what you've been getting with a lot of the Diamond Select figures lately. They've been moving away from that very large kind of style of figure that we've seen with a lot of the Marvel characters. Really, it seems like Marvel is one that's sticking with that giant box, but things like Lord of the Rings, like some of the other stuff that they've been doing, some of the Star Wars stuff they've been doing, has all been in boxes just like this. And I kind of much prefer the boxes. They're easier to store, especially if you are a mint on card collector, or even if you're a loose collector who just wants to put them back in the box and you're done posing them or taking photos, whatever you want to do with them. They're very compact, easy to store, easy to look at, easy to put on a shelf, and they're also just really functionally very good too. You can see exactly what's in the packaging, you know what you're getting, because you have this really large window display in the front of it, as well as a look on both sides, left and right, and of course, as always, the handy-dandy Diamond Select sunroof. Not like either of these guys really need to have a sunroof. They can just fly to the sun if they actually want to get a tan, but that's a story for a different day. The back of the boxes are in fact identical, which is a little bit of a disappointment, but they're still decent for now. And what the back of the box says is really just kind of sums up what the show essentially is, in a much better way than what I just said at the start of this video, in fact. So if you don't know about it, well, there's your good long look at what the heck the show is about. Unfortunately, they are both identical. I kind of wish they weren't. I kind of wish that there was maybe a separate bio for each guy, because the bio on the back of this for the show is actually a pretty good write-up. So I definitely wouldn't have minded to have a little bit more information about each character, but it's not really a thing that's going to detract any points from it, because I do think that write-up is pretty good. And it also lets us know that this figure was sculpted by Chris Dahlberg, and it reminds us as well about this being based on the series by Robert Kirkman, Corey Walker, and Ryan Ottley. So the packaging is pretty nice, but I am not a mint on card collector, and chances are neither are you. So let's go ahead and get these guys out of the box and take a closer look at them from all angles. All right, and we are back, and here's our Invincible figures. We've got Omni-Man on the left and Invincible on the right. So I think the first thing that is kind of hard to miss about these figures, before I get into even anything like the likeness, is their size. They are pretty much the exact same height as each other. That doesn't seem accurate to me. I don't think they should be the same height. I feel like Invincible should actually be a little bit shorter. I mean, you can let me know in the comments whether or not I'm wrong, but pretty sure that's the thing right off the bat that I do gotta maybe dock a few points for. I don't really use points, what am I saying? But, you know, it's definitely a noticeable thing here. I'm pretty sure that height should not be the same. But otherwise, initial reactions are that these are fairly accurate to the cartoon. These are fairly accurate to the animated series. The colors are looking good. Paint looks overall pretty decent. Heads look pretty decent. So why don't we go ahead and start there. Let's actually dive into these head sculpts and talk a little bit about them. And you can see Omni-Man here on the left. Like, it's basically, you know, J. Jonah Jameson, but muscles. But that's pretty much what he looks like, and it's like the perfect J.K. Simmons head also. And over here we've got our Invincible. Again, really nice also. Both very good head sculpts. I like these head sculpts a lot. Very good looking. Nice paint jobs as well. And it's also worth pointing out, even at this early phase here, since, you know, I usually save accessories for a little bit later on, but both these figures do come with alternate additional head sculpts. So here is our alternate head sculpt for Omni-Man, and this is our alternate head sculpt for Invincible. So again, basically the differences here, these are the angry head sculpts that you can go ahead and use for like when they're smashing and thrashing things. But both head sculpts are very good, really no complaints from me about either of them. I think they look incredibly cartoon accurate, so, you know, good job on all of those. And it's always great to have additional head sculpts. I always like that. Now let's talk about paint job on the rest of the bodies. You know, I guess we'll talk about the body sculpts as well. I think, you know, talking about cartoon accuracy, even their bodies are pretty much what they should be. I mean, you know, Omni-Man, to me, has like this very distinctive abdominal section. He always is like a big looking character to begin with, but he has a very distinct body, and I think they very much capture that here with his sculpt. Same with Invincible. He's a lot leaner than Omni-Man is, and you know, obviously he's a lot younger, so not quite as muscly. But, you know, I think they really captured the looks of both these characters, like, completely. Just the right amount of muscles, just the right amount of musculature, and they're not really going overboard here. They're really trying to keep this animated look. I mean, even down to, like, where the deltoids and the pectorals meet here, like, you know, Omni-Man's got pretty broad ones there. pretty defined muscles, and they've got that there. They basically lifted these things like right out of the cartoon almost. It really feels that way. I mean, even down to the legs as well. Like, it just feels perfect. It feels exactly the way it should be. Now let's spend a little bit of time too talking about articulation here, because these guys are no slouches in that department either. So if you do want to actually have some drag down, knockout brawls with these two characters, you could definitely do that. And actually, before I do that, let's talk about Omni-Man's cape, by the way, because look at how nice that cape is. Really great flowing cape, and not really super overboard like we may have seen with other toys from other companies, or even with Diamond. You know, like a lot of folks spend a lot of time on capes, and I'm fine with that. But because they're trying to keep this cartoon accurate, not really much highlights or details in there. I think there might be a little bit like two-tone in there, but very minimal. It's a very slight, subtle, you know, not like it's going to stand out that much. Kind of lets the light do its own thing. But yeah, perfect job on the cape as well. But let us talk about articulation here. I'm going to use Invincible for that. So we have ball-jointed head, and oh wow, not stiff out of box, which is always good. We have ball-jointed shoulders, moving muscles, single-jointed elbow. We've got flexible wrist. We've got the torso that can move. No waist on either of these guys. The waist does not move on either of these figures. Diamond kind of stopped doing that for some reason. I mean, they didn't really do that for many years, then they kind of started doing it with some figures. Now it's gone again, so no waist movement at all on him. But you do have incredibly articulated legs, so you can have Invincible do the splits if you really wanted to have him do that. I mean, yeah, wow, look at this. That is some flexibility right there. You got hip flexors, you have thigh muscles, you have the thighs that can rotate, single jointed knee, and some ankle articulations. So you can get in some very dynamic poses here if you actually are going to do any figure photography. Like, these are amazing for that, and especially with these two characters, you are going to want articulation that is very, very excellent, so that you actually can have your fights the way you want them to look. I'm just going to move Omni-Man a little bit too, because I want to see actually, oh, okay, yeah, I was actually wondering about those arms, and it turns out that little spot I was talking about, the definition, actually is where the joint is. So that's very smart. They kind of hid the joint there. But yeah, his articulation just as good. Yeah, pretty much identical. Hear that crack, stiff out the box. But yeah, identical movement there, identical articulation. So that's pretty great. Now, both of these figures come with a buttload of accessories. And I'm not going to spend time showing every single one of these in particular, because for the most part, all of their additional accessories are actually just hands. And I don't really feel like taking hands out of the packages, but you guys can see here, these are Invincible spare hands. We're going to take one of those out. And then Omni-Man has a bunch of other hands in his pack over here. So Omni-Man has 6 hands total, in addition to what he's already got, his closed fists. And Invincible has 5 hands total, plus the 2 on him. So you're getting 8 hands with Omni-Man, 7 hands with Invincible. What I do want to show you guys is that both figures come with bases, but they both have different bases. So Omni-Man has this style here, which is a pretty solid base. We're going to plug it into the bottom right there. So you can also, by the way, not even plug in. It has this little, you know, this is what the stand, it's going to basically be able to have the figure look like it's levitating. But you don't need to use that. You can also just put them down flat on the base, just like this, because all the figures from Diamond have little peg holes. So, boom, you can just have him standing on the base just like that. But we're not going to do that. We're going to actually have him using his cape, and let's see how this is going to work. One downside is the fact that this cape is actually molded into the neck area, so it's going to be a little difficult to actually sneak it in there, but there it is. All right, so there's a joint on the lower back. There's a hole, rather, I should say, on the lower back. That's where you're going to stick this into, awkwardly. Quick transition. I'm actually having a little bit of a tough time getting it in there, so I'm going to spend some more time doing that. But first, I'm going to also show you that Invincible comes with a base too. He comes with a base that's actually more typical with the Diamond Select figures. We've seen this with the Avatar figures and a few others. So again, same thing. You can just put his feet right down on there, or you can use this, and this is the really cool version of it. This is the one that has all the joints, so you could actually have him flying a little bit higher. So that should go on a lot smoother, in fact. So I think we just plug it into here. Yeah. There we go, we just plug that into there, and then we plug this into Invincible's lower back also. That's going on a lot smoother than his dad is taking the piece there. And there we go. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon. There we go. The thing is, Invincible is a pretty heavy figure, so this is also going to probably require... Well, folks, we just broke Invincible's back piece. So much for having him levitate. So we're not off to a great start here. That piece just busted on us. You know, that's unfortunate. That hasn't happened before with any of the Diamond videos that we've done. But, you know, typically speaking, folks, you do want to heat the joints in your figures, but I thought these were going pretty smoothly. Never had this happen before. That kind of really sucks. To be fair to, like, he was having trouble. Like, my plan was to get him kind of, like, levitating and keeping this pretty close to, you know, his body close to this to make it easier, but that just came right off. So, so much for that, guys. So this levitating base, you know, that's unfortunate. I hope your luck is better than mine was here. Guess I'll be contacting Diamond customer support and seeing if I could get a new one of these. Let's try Omni-Man's base on him, though. Let's see if that's any better. So we just should be able to plug this in right there. Yeah, that goes on nice and easy. So at least you can have him levitating like an inch off the ground, but that's fairly unimpressive looking. And, you know, especially with Omni-Man here, it's going to basically be like, you know, this tall. So it'll be like slightly off the ground. Not really worth it. It's actually kind of not really worth it. So, you know, it's unfortunate. This little small base here was a good idea, but it's not really doing much for him. Really, they both should have came with this base here, and that would be the one that just broke on camera. So, well, that really sucks, guys. In addition to the hands, in addition to the bases, Invincible also comes with this piece of cinder block, this piece of destruction, this piece of plunder if you're Dusty Rhodes. This is a nice heavy little piece of accessory here. Now the thing is though, there's not really any open hands for him to like grip this necessarily. Like the other hands you get are these two closed fists, you have two knife hands, you have two hands that can like hold onto things. So in theory you could probably have him like slip his hands onto these maybe. And you've got another hand we'll show you guys in a second, but this is a cool little piece. I just don't really know how it fits in beyond just being a cool little piece. Added value, I guess. It's nice to have it, but doesn't really offer much to me. So I mentioned that these toys come with a few extra hands, and I didn't really want to swap them out because it's a lot of hands to do, but what I am going to do is swap out these two hands. So they each come with a catcher's glove so that they can play baseball. Omni-Man actually comes with the baseballs, so it's kind of fun because I don't remember them in the animated series actually wearing these suits when they did that, but it's cool they included it because it is a kind of fun part of the show when Invincible's first learning how to use his powers, and his dad is teaching him how to throw the ball around the world. So that part's pretty cool. Let's just swap out some joints, see how that looks. So that's how Invincible looks. Let's go ahead and swap out Omni-Man's hand now as well. Swap that out like this. Hands go on very nice and easy, so that's good. So there we go. We got both of their catcher's mitts on. Now, Omni-Man also comes with a tiny little baseball, as well as this baseball effect, which I'm not really sure if it goes into any of his hands. I don't really think it kind of does. I mean, I guess you could actually fit it in. Let's try. And we should add too, he actually does have one other hand that does have a baseball in it. That would be this hand here, so you can actually have a baseball in his hand. So they made the baseball a pretty important part of these toys, and I like that very much. So that part is cool. Let's see if we can actually hold the baseball in the mitt. I don't know how easy it's going to work here. I mean, you can get it in there. It's just going to take a little bit of work. But it's a really cool effect. I mean, like I said, I do really like this flying baseball thing here. It looks like actually what you can see there's a hole in it, so that's how you're supposed to use this. I guess you could actually use it with this base over here, so we can just attach the baseball into that, and there we go. That works. And I bet you could probably use it with the other stand too if it didn't break. It's probably the same size hole, but that's how that would look, and yeah, they can now play baseball together. So that's a really fun little feature here. I like that accessory a great deal. That's a really cool one. Now, just for the sake of size comparisons here, I'm going to put in a Marvel Legends between them. This is a 6-inch Deathlock. He is a lot smaller, because these are 7-inch figures after all. Same thing with this Mattel Elite AJ Styles. He's about 6 inches. So yeah, these are 7-inch figures. They're not going to scale up too great with really anything else. But you know, if you're buying Diamond, you should already know by now that they are larger scale figures. However, they will scale up nicely with McFarlane toys because those toys are all in the 7-inch scale. So that's all good. So final thoughts about Omni-Man and Invincible. You know, they're really good figures, actually. I like them very much. It's just unfortunate that we had that one problem here with the broken stand. And that's, like I said, never happened before, ever, I don't think, in these videos. I mean, as far as I can remember, it hasn't happened. That really sucks, because that would have made these things really great. You know, in my opinion, they both should have actually came with the stand. I don't know why they only came with one, because it would have been great to have them fly, but I'm not even sure if they could even support their weight, because these figures are both pretty big. They're pretty girthy figures. Like, I'm actually quite positive that that stand would not be able to handle Omni-Man's weight at all. So, yeah, that was my mistake to try to use this baseball thing here for his back. I mean, I guess you can, but it's really not ideal for it either. You know, the figures come with a lot of hands. I know I didn't really swap them out on camera just because it's kind of a pain in the butt. But they have a great amount of hands, and combined too with the alternate head sculpts, you can have a lot of fun posing, doing a lot of figure photography, a lot of cool options here with these toys. The paint jobs are good. These look very cartoon accurate. The only thing I could really kind of like complain about a little bit would be like the height difference and how there basically is no height difference on them. But other than that, I think they really nailed the look of these guys. They're just good looking figures. There goes Omni-Man. Yeah, that's my fault. This table's not very balanced today. But now through the magic of editing, it looks like he's actually holding a different hand now because he is. I put the hand with the baseball on, so you guys can just see that one more time. But, you know, I really like these figures a lot. It's unfortunate that the stand broke for us on camera. That kind of really kills it a little bit, but, you know, that's going to be varying for everybody. And basically learn from my mistake. Don't do what I tried to do, I guess. And make sure you warm up the joints on all those little stands before you even try to move them, because, wow, that was rough to watch. But that's our look at these Invincible figures, Wave 1. We also know now that Wave 2 is coming, and that's going to include Adam, Eve, and Robot. So they're going to be the next two figures joining the series, and we'll see how far they keep it going, because there's plenty more characters that they can do. If you'd like to pick up Wave 1 of these Invincible figures, we're going to have links in our YouTube description below, so make sure you click on those if you want to purchase them and add them to your collection. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. Thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next time, and I cannot wait for Season 2 of Invincible on Amazon Prime.